comes to that pedal show, Dan will do the intro. I've noticed a significant omission.
Right.
I haven't got the dB meter on, mate.
Oh, okay, yeah, well done. Because that really kicked in. Hey, everyone, welcome to that pedal show. Dan here.
Mick here, hello.
Honestly, that is unbelievable.
Just for those of you going, oh no, what did the dB meter say?
It said loud.
Here's what it said.
Get in!
We won't do too much of that. Please subscribe. Please go to that pedal show store and buy stuff. It's how we fund this show. Okay, my rig then, slightly indulgent show, but what we'll endeavour to do is make bits of it relevant to the kinds of things that you guys are doing in your rigs. And the basic story, we're both going to play a bit as well, so don't turn off. The basic story, if you've been, Dan and I tend to do videos each year on our own personal rigs, and that's exactly what this is. And this is super fresh in the memory because I went out and gigged this exact rig exactly as I haven't twisted a knob since we played the last song on Saturday night. The reason for the ridiculous rig is it was our own gig as a band. We had all day to set up. We were completely in control. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. So this is how it ended up. I kind of want to caveat the whole thing by saying I think there's two approaches.
Right.
Or at least there are at least two approaches to when you put your rig together. One is the rig that you need. So let's say you've got, I don't know, a cafe bar gig, or you've got any gig, and you just put together the stuff you want, the stuff you need to get it done. That's one approach. And then there's the rig that you want, where you can just let it all hang out, put everything on there, and just see if it works. And that's what this is. So please don't be thinking that's idiotic. You can't use that stuff day in, day out. Kind of a special occasion. It was a reforming of a band after 35 years. Really full-on in-harness band, you know, with horn section and everything. So I'm not.
Is this the first time you played together since then?
No, we've done one other as 7 and one as 5.
Okay, but this was the big one.
This was the big. Well, right. I say the big one. We reformed in our hometown-ish and had a couple of hundred people in a room, and it was really good. Anyway, all right. So I'll just explain what's going on. 2 amps, and as regular viewers of that pedal show will know, Dan and I tend to like to do wet dry. That's to say all the overdrive effects go to both amplifiers, and the wet effects, delays, reverbs, most modulations go to one. This is an extension of that because there is everything, different things in both amps. Yeah. So to explain the signal chain, let's do this quickly. There are 2 things outside of G3. Right. Into the wah, into the boost.
Okay.
Loop number 1 is the Kingsley Page Tube Boost.
Oh, wow.
Loop number 2 is the Jam Tube Dreamer.
Nice.
Which is like a tube screamer. Loop 3 would be... a Jam Waterfall, which is doing vibrato only because it's going to 1 amp, and I'll explain that in a minute. Loop 4 is the delay. That's on all the time, and there is MIDI, Dan.
Yeah, baby!
We'll get into that. I finally succumbed to MIDI.
So proud.
Loop 5 is the Harmonious Monk, and there's nothing in Loop 6 for other reasons that we might explain in a minute. Okay. Now, back here, it gets really stupid.
I love this.
Because we've got the little head box here, which has got Hughes and Kettner Rotosphere, another delay and another reverb.
Right.
All that stuff's only hitting that amp because it is in the effects loop of that amp.
Yes. Okay. Nice.
Now, I did use absolutely everything at the gig. Mm-hmm. Maybe not to its fullest.
But you used it.
I used it all, yeah.
Amazing.
And again, just to explain what G3 is doing. So, for example, see where it says slow and fast on the top there. I'm using the remote switching functions in G3 to send a TRS cable all the way back there to switch that rotosphere from off and then slow and fast. So, for example... We played hella loud, like that loud.
Yes.
And I said to a few people, like, is the guitar too loud? And they're like, no,
Of course not.
no problem.
It sounds amazing.
So I was surprised by that. Anyway, so that's what the Rotosphere is doing. And then the MIDI stuff for the delay we'll come on to in a sec. Okay, overdrives. Going to get down to have a play in a minute. I've been mucking about with this for ages and really struggling to choose overdrive pedals.
See, I love your approach here. This because Mick called me. I asked him, after the gig how to go, and this is fascinating.
For the longest time, well, actually, from the outset, the thing that we often say is main overdrive in the middle and something else to either side. So that's what's happening in the grand scheme of things. The Page is doing the main overdrive, and the other two, the Heavy Water's before and the Tube Dreamer is after.
Nice.
I was using that tube driver to do the bulk of the main overdrive before, and it sounds
incredible.
just amazing, but it's a pain in the butt with power, and my tendency is to always push the gain too much. Like on everything I've got, I push the gain too much, and you get into that squashy 2 gain territory, which sounds fantastic in this room and it sounds amazing, but in the band it just gets lost because it's a really loud band. So I decided to go with things that are lower gain. You can see where the gain on the Tube Dreamer is.
Wow.
Although it's in its plus mode, so there is a bit more. The Page isn't very gainy anyway, but you'll hear how gainy it is in a minute with the Strat and humbuckers and the telly. And the Heavy Water is just a boost. So that's it. And the idea of that being is that when they were all on, there was still clarity.
Yeah, okay.
Because I've done it so many times, like we preach this thing of not using too much gain and not using too much low end. I've also put the Page in its least low end mode because there's so much low end coming out of here.
But especially at volume, that's where this stuff makes a difference. I mean, the Tube Driver, astonishing.
Yeah.
But as you turn up and the character of the amp starts to sort of impose itself and the limiting of the amp becomes more consequential in the tone.
100%. And it all just gets squashy away. And I didn't want that. And actually, some of these sounds you might hear today, as fun as they are, might sound a bit abrasive, might sound a bit like that's too much. But in the band, cut.
Yeah.
That's what you want. Anyway, all right. We'll both have a go. So you heard it in the beginning with the Strat, the Heavy Water. Rare that I use it on its own.
Yeah.
But the place where it gets used on its own is if the Strat is a little bit dull when you turn the volume down.
Okay.
So, so you get that buffery high end. if you hit it, it can be a little bit unpleasant, especially with this guitar.
Right.
Like really kind of. Using like that, it's making that Two-Rock really rasp.
Right.
So where I prefer it is with the tube driver on.
Yep. Or the page.
Or the tube driver.
Yep.
Sorry, the tube dreamer, sorry.
Oh, okay.
So we're playing away, doing our, you know, Stevie Ray type thing. It's funny. It's really hard work in here. Really, really hard work in here.
But it sounds amazing. But so no, this is another conversation, right? Because that amp is really barking. Yeah, but it does take an amount of physicality to play like that at this level.
Yeah. One thing I found was I'd sort of reverted back to my older self.
I love it.
And the kind of leaning into the guitar that you can only do in that environment, which is hard here because we're sat on stools and in the. And I was like hitting the guitar like I haven't hit it in 10 years, and it was quite nice.
Awesome.
So there's that, and finally, before Dan has a quick play, the page, probably not the right thing with the Strat, but.
Amazing.
It is hard work.
It's amazing.
Just have a feel of these gains. Genuinely. It's all harsher, right?
It's more urgent.
Anyway, whatever. Brace yourself. Get a load of this. Get a load of this. very different from the kind of sounds we normally dial in here, right? Because it's really, really making the amps bark. This is sort of,
it's rock and roll, man.
Instead of that thing where we have these really high headroom amps and just let the pedals do all the work, you are really, really, really hearing the combination of the amps and the pedals here. And like I said, you know, there's instances where it's not the most pleasant sound in the world, but boy, for audibility, that extra kick you get up there is, well,
yeah. And when you
dig
dig in, it's a different thing.
Yeah, because everything just kind of gives a bit.
Yeah.
All right. Before I swap over the guitars, just a quick look at what's going on with the delay. I've been in and out of delays. Just analog delay too dark, digital delay too bright. Was using the Free the Tone flight time for the longest time. It sounds amazing, but I was struggling a bit with some expression pedal control and it not
Future Factory.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Future Factory, the dual delay line one. Yeah. That's up there. And I was struggling a bit with some expression pedal control because I like to have the delay level on.
Yeah.
So, and then in addition to that, because of the two delay lines, in the heat of the moment, I get a bit confused, which is A and which is B.
Right.
So I decided to go back to the flight time, which I always used to use. I lost my original flight time. Massive thanks to Yuki and Duhei from Free the Tone who sent this one to me. I did buy it, but I just remember what I love about it so much.
Right.
With the filter set to darker.
Oh, yeah.
So get ready for this, regular viewers. Number one, I'm using G3. I'm using the MIDI in G3, right? So that expression pedal there, the Dunlop one up on the top left, is connected to G3 and is configured to be used as an expression pedal.
Mm-hmm.
It then sends continuous control MIDI to the Free the Tone to change the delay level from 0 to a maximum of 25. You can start so it goes from 0 to 99. You can set it to go from 16 to 58, or you can set it to go from 0 to 25, because 25 is the maximum amount of mix I ever want.
Beautiful.
So when the delay is always engaged, as you can see, because number 4, loop 4 is lit all the time.
Yes.
So the first thing is just the delay level. So thing number one.
Dude, that's really great.
I've managed. So the preset selection in the flight time is quite a pain to do off the top panel.
Mm-hmm.
In order to select a preset, you have to press and hold, select the preset you want to go to it, and it all takes too long.
Yes.
So what I discovered after watching one of Dan's very helpful videos, I promise this isn't an advert for G3 because I had never intended to do this. After watching one of Dan's very helpful videos was, what I didn't know is that you can set a switch up to send a program change message. Well, I'm telling Dan like he doesn't know. You can set up G3 to send a program change message when you turn it on.
Yep.
But you can also send a different program change message when you turn it off.
Yes.
So I can go through my two main presets there, using G3's MIDI to switch the freezer tone, right? Now, those of you who use MIDI all the time, you'll be like, duh. But it wasn't until I had a real world case use for it that I needed for it to be done. But in addition, because I want one additional preset, and this is where you've got to work with your own delay pedal, right? Because they all work differently, or whatever pedal it is. If I press and hold, it automatically switches to preset 2.
Oh, okay.
So here I'm going between preset 1 and 3.
Yep.
And then when I press and hold, and this does take a minute, it will go to preset 2 for reasons that will become apparent.
Okay.
So that's my slapback. And it's got a little bit of modulation on it as well.
Yeah, yeah.
To give a bit of chorus. So. Even though we're in preset 2, obviously pressing switch 6 now will take me back to preset either 1 or 3, I can't remember. So fairly easy access to 3 delay presets.
Yeah, nice.
Now, I'll get down to play for this bit. Where it gets really dumb in the delay department is in that rig is the Hughes and Kettner delay that's in the loop of the TS1. So at the moment, the free the tone flight time delay is only going to that amp over there, the classic reverb signature. But there's a separate delay that goes in here.
Okay.
And what I tried to do was time my 550 delay to have a quarter note, to a dotted eighth note in the other delay. I know, there is no need to do any of this, but it's just fun to do it. And I'll tell you what else. So I'm stood roughly here playing. It's super easy just to turn that on.
Oh, nice.
And same with the reverb, right? So none of the stuff. There's 3 pedals that are in play there. This Cunningham fuzz is there as in case I want to swap it out for the heavy water.
Right.
It's not plugged in. The delay and the reverb aren't getting any control from G3 at all. I just use those manually.
Yep, but that's cool.
The Rotosphere is.
Yeah.
So have a delay play, Dan. Actually, there's a bit of dirty on that delay. I wonder if I'm overloading the input a bit. Anyway, it sounds all right. So there was various combinations of one head in there and two heads in here. Two heads courtesy of this. Nothing's really timed or tapped.
No, but I love that.
And then turned on the vibrato at the end. Actually, just play the vibrato a sec down on its own. Nice, isn't it?
Dude.
It's so nice with the vibrato. So, I actually played this guitar more than the Strat. And this can get quite bitey. Close enough for rock and roll. Just obviously drives everything a bit more than the Strat. So with no pedals. It is somewhat arresting in here, but a lot of honk, right?
Yeah.
And then if you just to give an example of how I actually used some of the effects, we did a blues tune. So I put a little slapback on. Oh, mummy. Okay, a little bit of slapback. And then in this amp, the CXM is running.
Right.
So in addition to the bit of slapback, a little bit of short room reverb, which you know I like. So. This song starts, it's in the key of C, and it starts coming in on a 5.
Right.
With a big Stevie Ray, Albert King thing. I don't know what's going to happen because it is somewhat more arresting than it was. than it was.
I think my balls just dropped.
Pretty serious. It's a bit raspier than I remember it on Saturday night, but pretty cool, man.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I know we do bang on about volume and stuff, but there's no way a little amp could get you near the feel of that.
No.
Because there's so much weight there.
Yeah.
One of the issues is that often with weighty amplifiers, because we can throw in loads of bass, we do. But that is just, it's so big, but it still punches. It still has...
Yeah, and that's why I deliberately... There is a lot of overdrive there, right? And depending on where you sit in the guitar playing spectrum, you know, the metalheads will be like, well, there's no overdrive at all. And the people who play clean will be like, what? That's millions of overdrive. There is a lot of bottom end there.
Yeah.
But actually, there's a tremendous amount of mid-range and top as well. Here's what happens if you put the page in the next bass position. You will infinitely prefer it. But...
That's unbelievable.
It's good.
That is some of the best tones we've had on the show.
Yeah, but the thing that really hit me and sort of to the point that I hope will help and will give you food for thought is that very comfortable, like it's not the nicest sound in the world.
No. This is why sound guys tell guitar players to turn down.
Yeah.
Because when you hear it like that, it's like, it's it's exactly right terminology. It's not nice. It's amazing.
It's not comfortable.
But it's like, yeah, there's a different energy about it.
And it is different than I would set it up in this room. But I think in the context of the gig, I had some very nice compliments about the sound, and that it didn't sound too loud, and it didn't sound, you know, because there's a couple of times I'm playing going, ooh, that is a bit raspy, but then leaning into it going, no, this is what it needs to be.
Cymbals, man. Got to get over the cymbals.
And it was pretty arresting. What haven't we shown you? The wah-wah. So the last guitar I used was the V.
Of course.
And I reckon I used the 345, like 60%.
Sounds so good.
Strat 30 and this 10, just to do a couple of songs here and there. And Catherine said this was the loudest guitar, which kind of makes sense because of that sort of mid-range peak that it's got.
Right.
But just before we turn all the gumph on, sorry, I'm going to have to stand to do this because the patch cable isn't long enough to reach the floor. But yeah, the wah-wah, the jam wacko, I have it back about there. And there's a couple of songs that have wah-wah. I'll just turn off my various delays and reverbs. Actually, just one thing on the reverb. I've got access to the lovely... That's the big reverb in the CXM. Not that I got to use it much at that gig, but that's the other thing about the rig, right? You know, you're putting your rig together, the rig you need, which is a wah-wah, an overdrive, and a Mike Landau hot rod. That's the rig I need. The rig you want, which is this, but also the rig that is going to do the next thing.
Yeah.
So, plus this rig does experience days right here at that pedal show. So, anyway. Wah-wah we were doing, weren't we? Quite vocal.
It's
so then you can do all your doily vocal stuff. God, man, this guitar it's brilliant stood up, but it's a nightmare sat down. So that's it. I think we've been through everything. Totally over the top, totally overkill, more than is required. But as I said, it was our gig.
Yeah.
It was a momentous occasion for us personally. You know, the rest of the world doesn't care, but we care. And I just thought, there's something in my head going, this might be one of the last times I ever get to play a rig like this in a real situation.
Oh, okay.
Because we're doing couple festivals in the summer, and there's no way I can take this to
really?
a festival. Not least I got to walk halfway across a field with it.
Right.
So it's going to have to get simplified for that from a pure practicality point of view. But given that it's our gig and, you know...
That's amazing. I want to try just a different... I want to try humbucker guitar just for a second. Just being a little bit warmer. That's amazingly bright, that guitar.
Everything's bright through this rig. That's Dan saying that. Whoa, I've won! One thing we haven't done is both sides of the boost.
Okay.
Which is pretty arresting.
Okay.
Clean amp. It's not clean. And that amount of boost in the front end, that's exactly what you would do with a Marshall. And I'm so pleased the way that these amps react in that environment. Anyway, a bit more gain. I added on some plate reverb at the end and the dual head delay in that one. Vibrato just going to 1 amp to make chorus and some flight time delay. Kind of interesting, isn't it?
It's amazing.
Because not a lot of... When you stack them, you do get the gain and you get the aggression. There's no... What there isn't here is any smooth lower volume rhythm sound. And if I needed that, I'll show you what I did. One thing that Dan and I both love about pedals is the instant tweakability. So remember I said sort of near the top that the way we tend to do it is to have like a main overdrive in the middle, something to boost into it and something boosting after it. And any combination of those three gets you pretty much where you want to be. So leaning on the page for like the majority of the work. Why am I not using the Alexander? Because I didn't want the temptation to turn the gain up. I know it sounds crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of gain in there.
And it's a bit tweakier, the Alexander, when that's the other Kingsley pedal that I use a lot. But this is so simple.
Yeah.
In that environment of playing live, part of my brain shuts down.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not in that pedal show tweaking pedals mode.
Yep.
My brain literally shuts down doing that sort of thing. So it's got to be minimum number of knobs for me anyway. And I appreciate everyone's different. But so anyway, if it's just too much, kind of trying to chug away on a rhythm sound. Slightly extended wig out, but just to try and demonstrate that wherever you are, guitar down, you got feedback, you got everything right there. Anyway, okay, that's it. It's for all those comments that say, Jesus, just get a Helix, or or Quad Cortex or something like that.
Yeah.
I get it. So many of us and you are interested in something simple, something easy to transport, the least amount of hassle, because I don't know, maybe you've been playing with your band for a while and you want the sort of somewhere just north of the least worst, because you're not getting paid very much. So it's like, what do I need to get this done, get in, do the gig, have fun, go home again and not make my life a complete nightmare for 24 hours? Well, that wasn't the point of this. No. The point of this was most best. What could I do that was most best? A complete indulgence of a meeting of old friends, of a lot of love in the room, actually. A lot of people we haven't seen for 30 years plus.
I don't think indulgence is the right word for it. I think you...
It is a little bit, but
no, I think it's you cared about it.
Yeah, and I'm interested. I'm still an enthusiast of this stuff.
That's it.
I'm not getting on the tube to earn my 360 as a pit player that night.
Yeah,
and sort of resent it from start to finish. I'm there to go. Actually, what does this all do when you turn it up to 110 dB and kick the shit out of it for 2 hours? And it was arresting. It was arresting, and it was good fun. Will it continue? I don't know. I'm loving this,
dude. It's killer.
This, whole thing.
Yeah.
Just having it right there instead of...
It's great.
For those of you of advancing years, or those of you well into the throes of middle age, doing shit on your hands and knees now, not so good.
Yeah.
So I like standing up.
Yeah. I think you can't just assume that 2 amps from the same manufacturer are going to complement each other very well.
No.
Right? These do. They just have, they're voiced very differently.
Yeah, very different, yeah.
But together they work brilliantly.
Yeah. And I do have another so this is a 2x12 cab, that's a 1x15. For the experience days, we put up two 12s to sort of, nail it on, and it is ridiculous. But actually, the 115 and the 212 work better together for me.
Right.
I prefer the way it sort of puts it across.
Yeah.
But
no, I honestly, I've got to say, I think that is some of the best tones we've had on the show. And I think it'd be interesting to see how it records, but just being sat here with this, it is, and we do often say, volume is not the problem, shit tone's the problem. But this is, you could be as loud as you like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was amazed that no one said it was too loud.
Yeah.
I was astounded nobody said it was too loud.
Yeah. No, it's really, it's amazing, mate. I think you've done... Okay, so tell me, because this has been a process, right? This has been a journey for you to get to here. What are the things that you'll take away from this process?
Just how different the being sat... how long have we been doing this? How many gigs have we done?
Yeah.
How much do we know this stuff?
Yeah.
And yet, being sat in here and tweaking it all and getting to the gig, I guess, and you guys who play out a lot will know this, the experience part of it is that lovely, fat, massive overdrive sound in this room is not going to work in that particular band.
Yep.
Now, it might work in your band, but in that particular band, you've got 2 guitar players, you've got a Thor as drummer.
Yeah.
And you've got horn section.
So, yeah.
The stage volume is crazy. So in order to get out of that, a big, nice, comfortable, easy to play, high compression sound...
It isn't going to work.
Literally, you would be inaudible.
Yeah.
And that is another reason why I bang on about volume so much, because it also reminded me about growing up, about the environment that I grew up in. Playing environment, because we did that for a long time.
Yeah.
And I did that from age like 15 through to 18 when I went off to university. And we were playing 3-4 nights a week, sometimes more than that in the summer, and consistently that kind of crazy volume. So kind of got used to it.
And everyone that turned up that hadn't seen you guys for ages, I mean, what was that like?
Well, nobody cared about... they didn't really care about the music, obviously, because it was about getting together. It was about Arrrghhh. It was about analog, real, and communal. And that's the bit I'm happiest about, most about it, is being able to do that. A few TPSs turned up, High Dawn, High Kai, and which was nice to see. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I appreciate this isn't hugely relevant to everybody out there.
No, but it's really important, because this is real world experience, right?
It is real world.
And the process that you've been to get there and to get it out and play loud and just go, way!
Yeah.
And everything from the delay journey that you've been on, which has been a journey.
Yeah. I wonder what's going on there. I think maybe it's crunching because it's hitting, the amp's gaining a bit, but...
Right.
There's some crunch going on there, which I got to get to the bottom of. But yeah.
Yeah.
And it's never finished, right? It's this point in time now. And those 3 overdrive pedals will get changed next week.
Yeah. The page, especially with the humbuckers.
Yeah, it's
astonishing.
It's great, but it's nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying about this comfortable sound that you're used to playing and feels all great when you sat at home.
It doesn't make you a better guitar player, that sound.
I deliberately chucked out all of that away and went for the sound that was harder work. Because the other thing, again, those of you who gig will know this, you've got 25% more energy when you stood on the stage.
Yeah.
And everything about you is more.
And the songs are 25% faster.
Bless him, Simon worked really hard on the tempos. And that extra adrenaline and extra energy and extra all of that comes through. So the rig's got to be able to take that as well. But
amazing.
Cool,
man.
man. Yeah,
amazing.
It was good to do. Maybe we've got a couple festivals in the summer. Maybe we'll do a bit more after that. But Yeah, if we ever get the TPS band back together, this is what you'll see.
Yeah.
Some version of this.
Yeah. What might be full rock by the time we get the TPS. Just sounds so good. I wonder how that would work. I wonder how two guitar players with that sound.
Well, you can't. I mean, it's material dependent, isn't it? Sorry, massive tangent. All of this is massively material dependent.
Yeah.
So that band is like a steam train.
Yeah.
98% of the time.
Right. With
some pretty serious stops and stuff. But TPS band's much more considered.
Sure.
And so you sort of stay out of the way a lot more.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
oh, dude, it's amazing. I'm so pleased.
Just one final. This, you know, I love my Strat. I think this is the best guitar I've ever owned.
Right.
I just love it.
It does.
I love it.
What's been amazing with that guitar is all the little incremental changes. When you got that guitar, you saw the potential. You know, you'd play it. It was like, I can hear something's in there. It's not quite, and you've tweaked and tweaked and tweaked, and now to the point it's like, it's done.
Yeah, I didn't touch the Bigsby once, and I haven't touched it again.
Really?
No, let's see if it still works, and then we'll say goodbye. Not bad for serious wanging.
What a sound.
Good.
What a sound.
Thanks for watching. Please go to that Pedal Show store and buy merch, and please subscribe. Forgive us this indulgence.
Oh, mate, don't.
Forgive
please.
Those who have indulged against us.
Awesome.
And, yeah, thanks to the retailers. Thank you so much to patrons on Patreon.
Yeah. It's amazing.
We appreciate you and all the support. Join us on Monday for viewers' comments, questions. If you've got any questions to ask, or are just like, yeah, man, don't get it, or any version of the above. Yeah.
Amazing. Right. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.